the lore-based 12 Realms mod for the Wood Elves. In this video, we're going to be checking out all the units this mod has to offer, looking at their appearance, their stats, and showing off a little bit of combat. Don't forget, guys, to like and subscribe so you can catch all my mod spotlights in the future. Let's dive into the first unit. We're starting off with everyone's favorite monster section. We have the Hounds of Orion, and I've got to say, looking at them when I first seen them, I wasn't super impressed. I was like, okay, you know, they kind of look cool, but then after watching them in combat, I really fell in love with the unit. They kind of shoot out the kind of like a after image effect of the hound going out, and it travels across the map. It looks really cool in combat. That's pretty much my big thing on it. Their stats are pretty good, and their speed is high, so they would be a very versatile unit, especially for flanking or hit and run tactics. I really like this unit. Another great unit in this mod, the Treekin. I cannot pronounce that second word. Pretty much this is a Treekin unit that's focused on being offensive, so it's focused on dealing damage, and it does a great job on that. And it has an ability pretty much that whenever it's in combat, you activate it. It shoots out these purplish looking bomb things, but it makes plants grow, trees grow. It does a massive amount of damage, and it just looks great in combat. So overall, he did a great job here, and this is something I think more unique and really fits in with the Wood Elves. Another great monster unit, the Moonstone Grove. So it's a tree man kind of unit here, you can see that, but they're in a group of 4. They kind of have some backstory of why that is the way it is. Overall, these guys were amazing in combat, super strong unit. I think it adds a very good unit for the Wood Elves, and to me, it just kind of makes sense them being grouped up. I never really got or figured out the reason why these would fight completely alone. I feel like they would kind of fight in a group more often than not, so I like this. Here's a unit that I can't tell if it's a mod issue or if it's a replay issue or what it is, but when I tried to record this unit, I didn't see any active combat going on with it. The animations just wasn't playing with it. So pretty much, it was doing damage to things around it, but it's just on my screen, it just looked like it was standing there. So I don't know if that's a problem with the mod or not, but overall, I do like the design of the unit. You know, it's nothing super fancy, you know, it's kind of a more plain design, but you know, I think it would be a great unit if the animations were working 100%. I really like the look of this unit. I mean, it is scary. It kind of gives me like when Kislev had its DLC, and it was like kind of the scarier dark side of the woods, you know, of the forest, the snow. So this is kind of focused on that, and I really do like that. My only problem is the unit's extremely weak. Like, I threw it against a pretty low-tier infantry unit, and it did not last very long in combat at all. Like, it was pretty much gone. So I think this unit needs to be buffed at least a little bit, because it didn't do hardly any damage, and it just faded away. It was just very of a letdown of a unit, in my opinion. We're now in the Bighorn section, what I'm calling for these units. We have the Pyre Wardens up top with the Greatsword Infantry. These guys are really cool looking, and I like their design, but they also have a really cool ability that they can only activate whenever their lord or a hero is nearby. So they're almost built to be a bodyguard unit. So the Sacred Vigil increases their stats across the board, and they take a square formation. So to me, it would be more like put your casters in the middle of that formation and let them protect your squishier heroes or squishier lords. So I think it's a really great idea, and I just kind of like the thought behind this. And I'm a big fan of bodyguard mods in general. We have our Horned Hunters here, our second Bighorn Infantry unit. Monstrous Missile Infantry, as you can see here, stats are high across the board. These guys do damage with their missiles when they're hitting. So, I mean, this is a good unit. It's a small unit. So think of all of these kind of like your elite tier units. There's a small count number. And I do like that. And I think that the Wood Elves faction needs that. They need some heavy hitters, if that makes sense. So I'm a big fan of that. And they look good in combat. Everybody loves dual sword infantry. We have the horn hunters with hunting knives. I've got to say though, those are some very long knives. Is that what you're going to call a hunting knife? But anyway, I don't know what kind of hunting knives y'all are rocking, but that's a huge one. But they're dual sword infantry, obviously, compared to the other units. They're going to be more offense related, more about dealing that damage out, and they're more of an elite tier infantry unit. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this. We're about to see one more variant coming up, and then we'll see combat for both of those variants combined. We have the Horned Hunters with spears, and they have an ability called the Hunter's Horn. Pretty much increases charge attack, but at the end of that, they're going to take a debuff. So it's going to do that for units around it. This unit will have a debuff at the end of that time period, though. Pretty much negating what they gained from the charge attack bonus. But it is a massive bonus on charge attack. I mean, these guys definitely got a bump on that, and they charge through several units with it. So, I mean, it's a good ability. We're now at our cavalry section, which some of these are going to be monstrous, but it's fine. I'm just kind of wrapped all the cav together. The Priest of Quirinus, I'm going to go with that. They're horn hunters on top of the back of these guys. Obviously, they're going to have a great charge attack. They also have the arrowhead formation, which makes their charge attack even better. And there's a few more units that I think are going to have that arrowhead formation. And it is kind of a unique thing for this mod that adds this formation in, but it's strong, very strong. These guys look phenomenal in combat, and I like the design, especially the glowing eyes. Here's a lower tier shock cavalry unit, the Glade Knights. I'm not going to, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the look of this unit. I mean, they have that same arrowhead formation, so they do get the bonus on the charge. It actually looks a little different than the previous unit because the number count is higher on this unit. So they almost make like a diamond shape, whereas the other unit doesn't and actually looks like an arrowhead. But I've got to say, it buffs up the charge. They do a great charge attack with it. I think it is a good unit to use. I'm just not a big fan of the look. Here's another unit that I found that had an issue that I'm going to get into, but first I'm going to say the Wind Riders of Quirinus again. These are Hawk Riders. The unit looks great. I mean, they look phenomenal, and they have good stats. My issue is the fire rate kind of got funky, and I don't know if it's because of the formation. The flying circle formation, they can't move, they fly in a circle, and they're supposed to have like increased reload speed and all kinds of stuff adding on to it. But when I seen them use it, I just didn't see them firing near as fast. So I think there's something bugged here. I think either their fire rate's bugged or something's going on. But this unit needs to be tweaked by the modder, needs to be buffed up in one way or another, or the formation needs to be fixed. So I'm not sure really which way this needs to be done. Compared to the last unit, this unit needs no changes. The Moonspring Glade Riders, there's only 4 of them. They have a super far range, which I think is awesome. A 250 range, that's crazy. Super far range. Obviously, stats are pretty good on the melee attack, things like that. Their missile strength's extremely high. Every time these things were hitting, people were dying, pretty much. So, overall, big fan of this. I think is extremely useful, and I would definitely run this in my armies. I know the modder had fun making this unit because, man, they look really good. I like the coloring on the mounts, and I think it looks really well, especially with the characters on the back. The green glow looks good, and I like their weapon a lot too. Kind of having that up top, that little, like, that spear point gem shine. Overall, I've got to say, the look of this unit's just phenomenal. Unit does some, like, magical damage, poison kind of damage over time when they attack. They're a great looking unit. They do good in combat, and I have no complaints about this unit. A unit, again, I was less of a fan of. It's kind of similar to the Cavalry unit we looked at earlier I didn't like. It's just, they look, I don't know, basic to me. I just don't really, I mean, obviously, Starfire shafts, they're firing a better arrow. They have the arrowhead formation still. I mean, their missile strength's low. Their fire rate's not that high. I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of those guys. I mean, maybe... let me know. If any of these units I'm not liking that you like, let me know why you like them or if I'm wrong in a certain way. And, you know, I don't know a ton about lore, so maybe I'm missing something on lore that makes these really special. Just let me know.
Your blasphemy ends now.
Another unit I know the modder had fun making, the Death Dancers of Fire Derek. I'm probably pronouncing that last one wrong. But anyway, these are War Dancers. They're red. I like the red on them. They kind of get back to that kind of like more darker side of the woods vibe. I love that. I think it's really, really cool. Also, the flame effects that come off this. Lately, I've been seeing more people do this like really vibrant-y red, dark energy red flame effect on units. And man, it looks so good. I wish more modders would use this effect compared to just basic fire. And look at that color. It just looks so good. I bragged about that last flame effect, but this unit also has a good one too, and it's completely different. So the Volsguard, the Eternal Guard with shields, obviously it's a spear infantry unit that's more focused on defense than attack, but I think it looks really, really good. It's designed. The red, black, kind of wood brownish colors mixed in there, and the right amount of flame. The flame effects being very minor, but kind of giving them a glow. It looks really good. Some modders go overboard on that effect, and it just looks too flashy. The hybrid missile and spear infantry unit in front of us on the ranged attack side did not really stand out to me a whole bunch. Missile strength was kind of low. It says it does armor piercing. They're good against infantry, magical damage, fire damage. It just didn't seem like I was seeing them do a lot of damage. I will say this though, on the ability side, they do have a missile attack ability, the Maker's Tier, which they can use once per battle. I believe it's once. And that seemed to do pretty good damage, you know, compared to the regular attack. So there is that bonus. The Wardens of Arnok, magical greatsword infantry. These guys I really liked in combat. They did good work. I mean, they take out quite a bit of enemies, to be honest. So these guys are something I think would add a lot to the frontline capabilities of the Wood Elves. And on top of that, the unit size is good too. So you have 100. It's not like an elite tier unit where you have just a small amount. So 100's enough that you can really form your lines, protect your bowmen, and also deal out that damage. I grouped these next two units together mainly because their colors are really close. But we have the first unit here, which is a missile and spear infantry unit, and it's a higher tier unit. It has 190 range, 51 missile strength. These guys, when they were firing, were doing really good damage at ranged. And then also on top of that, they have the Fortress of Bogues, which is an ability that puts them in a square formation to where pretty much the entire formation is able to attack to the front. So they're dealing damage. It's a great defensive formation as well as putting out a lot of damage. Back to the coloring, I love the colors on these last two units here. They look really good together, and I just like the blue. I just like seeing more blue out there. I think it looks, that pale bluish look to it looks great. These are a lower tier missile infantry unit. They kind of have some backstory there. Their leadership is really high, range is still good, 180. Missile strength's kind of low, but I feel like these guys had a really good fire rate. So these guys were firing really fast, and it kind of makes up for the lower stats.
Die, horned savages!
And this last combat scene does wrap up this video. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will catch you in the next mod spotlight. And as always, the link to this mod is going to be down in the descriptions like I always do in all my other videos. So don't forget to check out the mod.